teeth, I got a lot of shine. Running up the number, that's a lot of crime. Try to take it from me, must be out your mind. Big time, lot of slime. Smoky in the air, that's a lot of crime. Pockets running over with the dollar sign. Try to take it from me. Yeah. Big time, big time, big time, big time. Running up the numbers, that's a lot of crime. Try to take it from me, must be out your mind. Lot of shine. Smoky in the air, that's a lot of crime. Just running over with the dollar sign. Try to take it from me. Big time. Diamonds in my teeth, I got a lot of shine. Running up the numbers, that's a lot of grind. Try and take it from me, must be out your mind. I'm big time, lot of shine. Smoky in the air, that's a lot of crime. Pockets running over with the dollar sign. Try and take it from me, from me, from me, from me, from me. Big time, number 9. Diamonds in my teeth, I got a lot of shine. The numbers, that's a lot of crime. Try and take it from me, must be out your mind.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to a Wednesday edition of the Ysn Power Hour. DJ Yoakley. We got the 5 and... What is it?
It's the 5th and U, baby. 5th and U.
The 5th and U boss with the cash signs on it, which I love. I love it. And then we got, of course, our weekly contributor here on Wednesdays. It is Scotty Too Hottie. Scotty Mincher joins us in the YSN studios. Gentlemen, how are we?
Good.
Are you?
I mean, as good as I can be.
I like the optimism here. The Dawn, how are you?
Doing fantastic. Coming off a great night last night as the Bourbon boys bounced back and got a much needed win over a Power 10 team over the Howland Tigers.
Listen, you called it.
Listen, I just know. They're starting league play now and it's go time.
I'm gonna have the WWDD bracelets made. What would Donnie do?
Oh yeah.
So every time I make a decision, I'm gonna look at it and I'm gonna say, what would Donnie do in this situation?
And you'd be
never
correct.
Steered me wrong. It's never steered me wrong.
That is my goal, buddy.
Scotty, I'm going to give you a platform to talk about your emotions, I guess, in this situation. But first, we have to get to our daily on this day in sports history, and we've got another 2 for you. This one's interesting to me. In 1989, baseball, and I'm guessing they mean Major League Baseball, signs a $400 million contract with ESPN to show 175 games in 1990. We got the board back here that Quinn keeps up with. To this moment, we've done 373 games just in basketball. They did 175 games and got paid $400 million. What are we doing wrong, Donnie?
When are they buying YSN out? Let's just say that.
Go. You imagine the job. I was so looking forward to this. What was it? The Sun Bowl or whatever it was that Barstool was going to do.
Oh yeah.
I was so looking for it, and then they canceled it.
Yeah.
Because one of the teams got COVID. I wanted to see them reset the bar in how you do a bowl game, because nobody does high school games like YSN.
Not even close.
There's no chance. But Barstool doing a professional bowl game would have been very interesting to me.
Oh, absolutely.
Would have been very interesting. I got to be honest, baseball on ESPN stinks. And the only thing that's worse than baseball on ESPN is hockey on ESPN.
Yeah.
Because they have no idea what they're talking about. Zero. The reason Fox, if you have seen the All Madden documentary, the reason Fox was an impact player right away is because of John Madden.
Yeah.
They went and they hired the best. They got those people, and now we're in the position we're trying to do the same. We're trying to go get the voices of the communities that know sports. Donnie Riccatelli, perfect example of that. Mike Ackelson, another perfect example. Scotty is chomping at the bit to do games. Like my guy,
come do games with me, Scotty.
He can't get up the stairs.
No, I don't. I won't go up the stairs for him. I'll come down to him. I promise you that.
Scotty, can you get to Boardman?
It would be my honor.
I think we can make that happen.
Let's do it.
I try my hardest. Let's go.
Let's
LFP.
I got you, Scotty.
I love it. See, Scotty, look how loved you are on this network. Not just by people watching, but by people that are on the network. They love you.
No doubt.
Yeah, I'm very fortunate. I am. I got a lot of friends. Now I just got to find a nice woman.
Let's save that for later.
Man, if I'll help you
Take
out.
her out for a nice seafood dinner. Never call her again.
Hey,
champ.
I'll be your ugly side chick, Scotty. Let's go.
Okay.
Donnie Rolla, man. Donnie Rolla, man, the best looking man on YSN.
Oh, no.
Listen, my wife got the side eye the other day because she goes, Donnie is very attractive. And I went, say what?
I'm blushing, Sarah.
There it is. Scotty, let's talk about it. I'm not going to beat you up. You rolled in here. I will let everybody know. If you notice Scotty's wardrobe today, he's wearing all YSN gear that he hasn't worn in probably the last 17 or 18 weeks because he rolls in here with a little bit of I don't want to say he was embarrassed, but he looked defeated for the first time in a long time. Scotty's a diehard Browns fan. Obviously, we all know what happened on Monday night. Scotty has a bet on the table with me that the Browns are going to win the Super Bowl. He bet it. Not only did he bet against the Steelers, he bet against every other NFL team. He said, I'm taking the Browns, you take the field. How many? 4 times did I say I was not going to do it?
Yeah, at least 4, maybe even 5.
And then Super Dave just was needling me.
Scotty.
I just, on paper, the roster looks so good.
Hang on. Where is it?
I picked the Cleveland Browns to win the North.
Would you put 50 on them?
Just 50. Just 50.
To win what?
It would have won me 122. I would have got 172.50 back. But yeah, I picked them in here on live TV. There you go.
Yeah,
it's okay. Because guess what? I got a winner right here, baby.
Who is it?
Jacksonville Jaguars under 6.5.
Oh my god, Scotty.
It's the best thing about Pittsburgh is the Rivers Casino.
I can't believe that just happened. Oh man, Scotty, talk to us about your feelings for your Browns right now. We got to unpack a lot of it in the last 2 days. How are you feeling? And we're not going to spend all show on this, so if you're thinking that's what it's going to be, it's not. I promise you. We're going to talk a lot of sports here today. Scotty, give us your profession and your love letter to your Cleveland Browns. I'll give you the stage.
Well, I guess I'd say, like, right now, it kind of feels like another kick to the stomach, punch to the gut. I'm always I'm ride or die with this team. I think you know that, DJ. They're my ride or die. So I'll continue to be a fan, continue to go to games, support them. But this year, man, it was especially the last handful of games, the Raiders game and the Green Bay game where we had a chance to win at the end. I couldn't come up with the game-winning drive, and then the debacle that was Monday. And it always seems like a Browns kicker embarrasses himself somehow against the Steelers, and our kicker like hurt his foot, not even like getting touched. But I mean, I can't really dog on him too much because Scottish Hammer, he didn't really do anything this year. So and Colquitt's like 40. So I mean, it's just it sucks because I felt like the Browns had this window, and I do feel like it's kind of a year wasted. But long term, I do think they brought in talented players. I think Andrew Berry is a good GM. The problem is if you don't have a quarterback in the NFL, you're not going to go too far. And last year, Baker, he put if he wasn't top 10, he was definitely fringe top 10 level, especially at the end of the season. This year, he's been awful again. Now, some people might, say it's because he was injured. I think that's kind of, you're making it. I think if you're out there and you could play, um, like there's no excuses. So I know he's dealing with a pretty significant injury, but if he was really that hurt, I don't know why Stefanski and the organization didn't tell him to go get surgery as soon as that happened. So it's just been a cluster, man, especially after the 3-1 start. I thought things were looking so promising, and I never thought that I would say that the defense was the strong point of the team, but that's what it's been for the Browns. I know Najee Harris got them pretty good, but they had a lot of injuries and they still held Ben down, even though Ben's like Apollo Creed and Rocky Four now. But I
Is that a
it's
Ben joke? Did you just throw a Ben joke in the middle of me giving you the red carpet treatment to talk about your Browns?
I mean he went out a winner. I'll give him that. He went out a winner, but he's you even admit DJ he's a shell of what he was. He's still better than Baker though right now. So there's that.
Listen, I argued with you all year. You kept telling me, up till last week, that Baker Mayfield is a top 10 quarterback in this league. I don't think he is. I don't think Cleveland's the right scenario for him. I think that he is butthurt because Cleveland fans have turned on him, and now they've turned on Stefanski. You're two guys that you argued week one. I remember having this conversation with you, Scotty. You said, we have Baker Mayfield, we have the best roster in football, and we have the defending coach of the year. And now everybody wants to fire that defending coach of the year because he doesn't call the plays that everybody wants to call. Who do you blame in this, Scooter? Is it Stefanski, or is it Baker, or is it somebody else?
I think it's not necessarily all on either one of them. I think it's the team collectively as a whole. I mean, you could knock Stefanski's play calling, and it still kind of baffles me with the Steelers having the worst rush defense or near the bottom in the NFL, and you don't give Nick Chubb the ball at least 20 times. That was baffling. But also, I just think they haven't executed. Plays have been there to be made, and they haven't made them. And I think like there's no better way to sum it up than to look at the final scores of these games because they've had so many close losses. So I don't necessarily think it's all been on Baker or all been on Stefanski's play calling. I just think everybody in the organization has kind of had a rough year. I really like Andrew Berry as the GM, and I think they got to ride with Stefanski for at least a couple more years because I think that it's a big reason why the Browns were so bad for so long. They wouldn't stick with a plan and they'd fire a guy after one bad season, or he'd have maybe a good year or a mediocre year, and they'd fire him. So I don't think you go ahead and do that. I think it was somebody put it perfectly. I think it was maybe Mike. Um, he said maybe it was just a sophomore slump for Kevin Stefanski. So I don't know. It's they got some things to figure out, but it seems like the passing game. I still don't understand why we don't throw to the receivers. And to me, Austin Hooper is definitely the biggest overpaid tight end. I think David Njoku should be in there every time more than anybody.
But here's the thing with football, and everybody gets this, and Donnie, I'm going to kick this to you.
Mhm.
The most popular person on the roster is always the backup, especially
Oh,
when you're losing.
I mean, yeah, but I agree with Scotty. I mean, Hooper came with a lot of clout. I thought he was going to be this great receiving tight end, everything else, but he drops the ball quite a bit. I mean, I know some of those throws aren't the best throws or whatever, but he really hasn't lived up to the hype that was given to him. And Njoku, if Cleveland can learn to use Njoku like that, Jeremichael Finley or Graham, that type of tenor, or Travis Kelce. I mean, my gosh,
But he's not those guys.
he has breakaway speed. I mean, we've seen it happen. A
If
few
he
times.
was Travis Kelce or any iteration of Travis Kelce,
Yeah,
I
I mean,
have to believe they would have used it by now.
He probably could hold Travis Kelce's jockstrap. You know what I mean? But I'm saying, like, if they could use him in that kind of role, like that, like almost like a slotted tight end, that because Kelce doesn't play typical tight end. I mean,
He's a
but
receiver.
but yeah, I mean, I agree. I mean, we use the tight ends way too much when those tight ends are supposed to be in there to block for the run, and we use them in passing situations. And I don't know. I mean, we never really had a chance to let Peoples-Jones go off. We never had a chance to let Higgins go off.
OBJ,
that was just like one of those things where, somebody's ego had to go.
scapegoat,
100%.
scapegoat.
100%. And Cleveland's not used to having that many egos in a room. They're not used to having a semi all-star roster.
Who's the face of the franchise for the Cleveland Browns?
Listen, if it were up to me, and I say this for the simple fact that you will never see an ego from this guy whatsoever, and that's Nick Chubb. Nick Chubb is Cleveland to a T. You pack your lunch and you go to work. That's it. The guy doesn't celebrate. He doesn't do anything flashy except run fast and break tackles. Barry Sanders, 100%.
Scotty, who's the face of the franchise for you?
Yeah, I would have to agree and probably say Nick Chubb right now. He's just like what was just said. I mean, he's a guy that he never ever, even when he breaks off a big run, never showboating, never points in another guy's face. He just does his job, puts the work in, and goes home. And that embodies, I mean, Pittsburgh's kind of the same type of town. Cleveland is blue collar, and I think it embodies like what what the Cleveland sports is, what kind of guys you want on your roster, and what fans will appreciate. So I'd have to go Nick Chubb because to me, Miles Garrett, you look at his numbers and they're really good, but he's still, there's games he's inconsistent. I know he's banged up dealing with an injury, but
But how many times do we have to, as a Steeler fan, and I don't hear it a lot because we only see each other twice, maybe 3 times a year. But, dude, I got to hear about how Miles Garrett's always hurt. Like, okay, heal up, get better, and then let's see what you're like at 100%.
Well, and the other thing too, Deej, is you look at, everybody thinks Miles Garrett's this big closer. No, he's not a closer. If you needed a sack at the end of the game, you're picking T.J. Watt. You know what I mean? Like there's no other. There's no other person in the NFL that you're picking. If you need a sack in the NFL to end the game, you're picking T.J. Watt. If Miles Garrett, the problem with Miles Garrett is I feel like he has too much of a niceness to him. Take that Mason Rudolph stuff aside. Mm-hmm. That was a one-off situation with him. That guy, he's just too nice. He's complimentary of oh, I'm sorry, I knocked you to the ground, Ben Roethlisberger. Let me pick you up and
give me a break
and wipe you up.
I'm not buying that for a
second.
No,
he is. He doesn't. He uses his. He's ridiculously strong. Okay.
Yeah, he's got flexible ankles.
Ridiculously have you seen the breakdown of those videos? That's stupid. Like who bends like that? But he only does that. He only hits the quarterback as hard as he does because he's strong and he's fast. He doesn't do it like in a vicious way. When TJ Watt gets a sack and he gets up and he does his Karate Kid kick or whatever you call that flying crane stuff, listen, he is going at the quarterback viciously. Okay? There's a difference. If Myles Garrett decided to say, you know what? Every snap I'm in this game, I'm going vicious. Nobody is stopping him. I've seen 2 linemen and a running back try to chip him, 2 linemen and a tight end try to chip him. When he's upset, he will fly and blast right through him. Yep. The problem is, like Scotty said, there's no consistency there. No. If he were just to knuckle down, hey, I'm in for these 3 plays, I'm going to force a 3 and out. I'm going after you hard these 3 plays so I can go rest. His deal is I'm going to go rest for 3 plays because my offense doesn't get me any rest. It's 3 and out, or it's something stupid, or I throw a pick on the first play when I should be running the ball. It's just it's annoying. It's annoying as a Browns fan.
I gotta admit that I'm not a Juju Smith-Schuster fan. Not at all. I think Myles Garrett is your Juju Smith-Schuster. The dude comes out on Halloween. He's got graves of or gravestones of all quarterbacks that he's going to play. Like, I get it. It's a jest. It's entertainment. It's fun. Then he comes to the game and he's wearing a cape with all the You're only opening yourself up.
If you came down an alley with that guy wearing that, you would turn, you would putter a little bit on the floor and run.
100%. 100%. But I'm not an NFL athlete. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So when you're 6'4", 6'5", Ben Roethlisberger, who's a sandwich short of 250, it doesn't intimidate you, and as a quarterback. But like Joe Burrow, I'm sure the way that they play against the Bengals, and Joe Burrow's going to be out, Mixon's going to be out this week, and obviously Baker's going to be out. Do you want to win this game this week as a Browns fan, or would you rather have the higher draft pick because of it?
I think you owe it to the fans. I think you owe the fans a victory.
I like it.
Yeah, I agree too. I never, for years, we talked about draft picks and, draft position in Cleveland, but I think it really does. I'm not saying one game, But sometimes if you end the season on a positive note, now unfortunately for the Browns, they lost to the Steelers again, so they're not going to be able to put consecutive wins together. But I think it's just they got to get out of this. It's like this cycle in Cleveland that hasn't seen the end. I think it's important to go out strong and win this last game because I really think it affects free agents when they think about, oh, you lost your last 4 games to end the season. You guys were a dumpster fire at the end of the year. I think that plays into being able to, get free agents and whether guys want to, come and play for your organization. And the Steelers, say what you want about Mike Tomlin. I know a lot of Steelers fans that think they could do better, but he's never finished under 500. They're always in the playoff conversation, so they're always going to be a desirable destination for a free agent to want to go to. And that's the problem I see with the Browns. I think the Steelers could get a guy like Russell Wilson or Aaron Rodgers. Right now, I don't see the Browns being able to pull something like that off because I still think there's this perception out there that they're not a well-run organization. And until they put several years together of, winning and making the playoffs, being a contender, I think it's going to stay the same.
It's interesting. I'm going to go out on a limb and say nobody's coming to Cleveland worthwhile this offseason. Unless major changes are made. Baker's got to go or Landry's got to go.
I think, to not to cut you off,
Sure.
DJ, I have a bad habit of doing that to people, but
You're fine.
I think Jarvis Landry is kind of fed up. I think first of all because Odell's his buddy, like that was a bit of a stake in his heart, and the fact that he has, I think, maybe 1 touchdown this entire season. That's another thing that's really hard to believe. I know he has a couple years left on his deal, and I love Jarvis Landry, but if I was at the window in Vegas right now, I would say that I think he's gonna be gone, and they're gonna totally. I think him and Higgins will be gone. They'll keep People Jones and try to look at drafting another number 1 wide receiver. Oh.
When I heard somebody say that Landry is a number 3, I don't know where you get that from. I don't know. He is one of the best pass catchers I've seen in this league in a long time. And the Browns don't utilize him nearly enough. He's the guy that gives me chills. Like, if Landry's going off, there's nobody that can stop him. I mean, he goes from one side of the field to the other. He'll go over the middle for you. And the fact that the Browns didn't utilize him in whatever way, and whatever finger you want to point to, or whoever you want to point that finger to, that's an issue. There's a lot of internal, and Baker's made reference to it. The postgame, I finally got to see that. Wow. That was eye-opening about where his head is on just his entire team. I think the Browns move on from Landry or Baker this offseason, bring in some other name. I think it's going to be a Kirk Cousins. I really do in my heart of hearts. I think they're going to go after him big, try to change the culture in Cleveland. Stefanski and Cousins going to be guys that, they're familiar with each other. But at the end of the day, culture is the name of the game in the NFL, and the Browns don't have it. And guys like Clowney, who came here because it was a star-studded lineup, and having, you gave fans shivers thinking that Clowney and Garrett, oh my gosh, like, if you get a nose tackle, who are you going to block? Like, you're going to need, like, brick and mortar to keep them away from your quarterback. And after that, was it the Bears game? You had 9 sacks?
Yeah.
I'm thinking to myself, oh boy, they turned it on. This is not going to be good. Scotty compared them to a top 5 defense in the league, because they were, statistically speaking, because they had that big game. And
but
then,
that's the thing, DJ. Again, like, the defense has held them in every one of these games. Even
defense stunk against Pittsburgh last week, Scotty. Like, I know we were joking about it, but, like, the reason Ben Roethlisberger only had 123 yards or whatever it was is because Najee ran for 180. Like, we took the Browns playbook literally from the entire year, and we said, hey, I wonder if this works against them. And it did. It did.
It did, but we still forced you. We only gave up that garbage touchdown at the end, which was, it ended up being 26 points. I mean, we still forced a lot of punts and were in the game. I think this defense potentially the next, and we'll see if Clowney wants to stay. At this point, I'd be surprised if he does, but I think potentially this defense could be really, really good if they stay healthy. Now, the offense, it all depends on, who's playing quarterback. I mean, they exercised Baker's 5th-year option. If he comes back and plays like the guy he was playing like at the end of last year, they'll be okay. But if we see this year's Baker, it's just gonna be the same old song. And I'm not saying that Najee Harris is a really good running back, and I think he's gonna be really good for a while for Pittsburgh. But there comes a point, DJ. I think they're all professional athletes, right? But they're all also human. And I think once they see the offense putting up garbage possession after garbage possession, punt, turnover, punt, they say, you know what, F it. Like, we're tired. I'm tired of dealing with it.
But you said it, Scotty. They're human, but they're also professionals. And if you see that happening, is your offense is not putting up points, that's a defense's opportunity to keep your team in the game, because that is what they call green opportunities. That's where TJ Watt is worth every penny that he's making, because every player will say it. That's why he gets paid the big bucks, because in clutch moments, in games that your offense is only going to score an average of 19 points a game, guys like TJ Watt, that's why they're worth hundreds of millions of dollars. Baker wanted $40 million. Is he worth $40 million to you to be, what was he, a 35 quarterback rating or something crazy like that against your arch rival in a game that, yeah, sure, it didn't matter on paper or for the playoffs, but to your point, Scotty, he's a professional. The dude's trying to get paid. Every snap is an audition for this cat until he's got a long-term contract.
Well, I think you were the one that said it yesterday, DJ, or it might have been Donnie.
I blame it on Ackelson.
But I think you said this year, like, if Baker is the quarterback, the starter going into this next season, I mean, he's pretty much playing for his career, because if he has another awful year, like, he might get another shot as, like, maybe a backup, but he's not going to be a starter in the NFL.
No, yes, I did say that, but I disagree with that context of it. I think he'll be a starter somewhere else. I don't think that there's 32 quarterbacks better than him. I don't. I think that there's 10, maybe 15 quarterbacks better than him. But I think part of his success, in the same way with Roethlisberger, if you look at the way Ben Roethlisberger, the beginning part of his career was, he wasn't that good. He was a game manager. And I think Baker's trying to do too much. I've heard that from so many people, is he's trying to do too much because he wants to prove that he's a $40 million quarterback. By doing too much, you're losing value. And he's not. He's a game manager. He's Drew Brees. Drew Brees doesn't need to put up 600 yards a game because he's got a good offense. He had Alvin Kamara at the end of his career. He always had a basher or a smasher in the backfield when he got to New Orleans. But Scotty, I'm not lying to you when I say that if I were putting my general manager hat on and I saw that Cleveland said, hey, we're done with Baker Mayfield. And the play calling on Monday night showed that they're done with Baker Mayfield. They wanted him to fail. They wanted him to say, okay, you can either go out and win us this game, or we're going to showcase how bad you are, and we're not going to give you any help.
Well, that's the other thing you got to remember, too. And I'm not saying it's right because Baker, say whatever you want. Like I saw some fans on social media saying, oh, Baker, he's just a sober Johnny Manziel and blah, blah, blah. And it's like Baker has had he had a stretch of 3 games in his rookie year where he was more successful than Manziel ever was. So I'm not saying that,
but the bar's here. You know what I mean? That's the difference. And Donnie, you can tell me if I'm wrong because we haven't heard. You've been sitting patiently, which I appreciate.
I enjoy Scotty.
Talk to me about his rookie year, I believe it was. The NFL came out with a commercial during the Super Bowl that it was Tom Brady says, hold my rings, and gives them to Baker Mayfield.
Yeah.
From that moment, people were comparing Baker Mayfield to being the next Tom Brady, which everybody's the next Tom Brady, the same way as everybody was the next Michael Jordan. But Cleveland fans feel like they had that one season, and that was going to be the next 19 years, the way it was for Pittsburgh. Am I wrong?
Deej, you have to look at it, from our point of view as a Cleveland fan. Like, you got to experience 18 seasons of 500 or better football, 2 Super Bowls, everything else. We have suffered for so long, and when we got gypped out of the playoffs when we went 10-6 the one year. That was like, are you kidding me? Typical. We win 10 games, we can't make the playoffs. There's years where teams go 9-7 and win. But we saw that one year last year, and we got greedy. I mean, it was like, you know what? This is the feeling we want. This is the feeling that we've been missing for so long. This is what we need. And we got greedy, and we just didn't know how to handle all that extra cash flow. And
good.
And I think this year was one of those ones that says, you know what, this wasn't a 1 year, 2. This wasn't a 2-year plan. Andrew Berry is an extremely intelligent individual. Mm-hmm. That front office is saying, guys, this isn't a 2-year plan. This is our longevity here. They're not going to fire Stefanski. They're gonna say, look, I said it yesterday, sophomore slump. You have to figure out, okay, year 1, you did all these great things. Year 2, you questioned yourself quite a bit. Let's find that medium, that happy medium. Let's utilize what's worked. I'm a big believer. When I decide on something, I make a pro and con list. And when the pros outweigh the cons, that's the way I'm going. Okay, and Cleveland has a major pro and con list coming up for them. I mean, look, they can change so much in the draft and in free agency. If somehow, some way, that linebacker from Alabama falls to them in the draft, there's your game changer right there. Okay, you have that guy. That guy has led every statistical category in college football on defense this year, and wasn't even thought of for the Heisman because Hutchinson got a couple of sacks off on CJ Stroud, and all of a sudden he's catapulted ahead of CJ Stroud for the high. That's a joke. It's a complete joke. But you have guys like they stole Malik Jackson. They stole Malik McDowell.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So it's like they have pieces, and when they're all healthy, and they can turn and they can sub in and sub out correctly like they want to, it's going to be fun for them. But they have to make sure that they figure out a way to set egos aside, and we're all adults now. We need to play like adults.
But here's two things I say to that, and I'm not. I think those are all very, very valid points, Donnie. But number one, you look at the Ravens. To the one thing you said about if they're all healthy, that's a scary thought, because in the NFL we know injuries happen, and you could play the schedule game at the beginning of the year, but you never really know who's going to get hurt and how healthy you're going to be. And take the Ravens, for example. They've had almost an entire team on injured reserve, and if it wasn't for John Harbaugh going for 2 in 3 straight games, we'd probably be talking about them still, even with all those guys hurt, winning the division right now. So
if like, again, you risk it for the biscuit.
My point is the Browns have to get past, oh, we were injured, so
I get that, but at the end of the day, Scotty, I feel bad for Browns fans because they're constantly comparing their team to other teams, and you're not other teams. You're not. You're just not. You can't compare yourself to the Ravens. You can't compare yourself to the Steelers. You can't. The closest would be the Bengals, and look what they did. They said, listen, we're going to go all in on this quarterback. He's our guy no matter what he does. He's not going to lose his job. And the Browns are running scared right now because they don't know what to do. They're in a conundrum because they don't know whether to sell tickets, because you got Progressive Mayfield sitting at QB1 on your depth chart, or do they put a franchise on Myles Garrett? Because now these guys are making money off of endorsement deals, right? You've got Myles Garrett, who's losing money because Baker Mayfield is the guy for Progressive Insurance, not a sponsor yet. But you look at that, they see that because the Browns have the opportunity to put players on pedestals. Now the Browns, listen, and it's a home game this Sunday, correct?
It is.
Yeah.
Think about this for a moment. Do you think the Browns would have let Baker Mayfield trot out of that tunnel after the show that he put on the last 14 days and be booed out of that stadium? Like, I can't believe, maybe he's getting, and I hate to play that game of, conspiracy theory, maybe he is getting surgery this week or whatever. Maybe he's not. Maybe they're saying, hey, listen, man, take a breather. Like, we don't want you to be there. We don't want you to get booed out of the stadium. It's a PR thing, right? Because the last thing they want is for their quarterback or their mainstay to be booed going into the off season, and he goes, I want to trade. I want out. And that's what gives me hope that they want Baker to stay.
Here's the thing, DJ, and I'm not saying that you're wrong, but you got to remember that Donnie was talking about Andrew Berry, and I agree that he's a very smart dude. And I agree with you, DJ, saying that they are in a conundrum, because if you get rid of Baker, who are you going to replace him with that's better and had some of the success that Baker's had and has won a playoff game? I mean, the Bengals, and maybe it'll be different this year, but look at you. That was the perfect comparison, DJ. That the Bengals haven't won a playoff game. It's been since like the 1980s or early 1990s. Maybe they'll win one this year with Burrow, but we'll see. But the other thing you got to remember is Andrew Berry and Kevin Stefanski. Baker wasn't their guy. John Dorsey's the one that drafted Baker Mayfield. So
That's such a Potesta take. I hate that. I think that's stupid. Because if he wasn't the guy, then he'd be gone by now. You know what, Scotty? I love that.
I disagree though, because they have him on his rookie. They're paying him peanuts. Why get rid of him? Why not ride it out on his rookie?
Because you've said it more than anybody I know. The Browns have a window. If you're paying a terrible quarterback to be your QB1, and you know you're going to lose, but it's okay because he's on a rookie deal, then you have a losing mentality. I'll tell you exactly what the Browns fear right now. The Browns fear that they have their quarterback, but nobody likes him, right? That they've got an egotistical quarterback that if they keep him, they could keep losing and lose the fan base. But if they cut him, he could go somewhere else and win, and the fans jump on that train and go, we had Baker Mayfield. Listen, I've been a Pirates fan my entire life. I've seen this happen. You know, we have guys that go on and play for the Yankees and are superstars but can't get it done in Pittsburgh. I get where this is. The conundrum is the Browns don't know what to do. Because on one hand, you've got your franchise quarterback. On the other hand, nobody likes him right now. He's causing stir-ups in if he could just shut his mouth, bar none, and if his wife could just stop tweeting about things that don't matter in her life, because it's his life, right? The only thing she does is cash those checks for him, and she has a wonderful life, and she's a wonderful human being, I'm sure. But don't talk about that. Like, he's in the spotlight. He gets paid millions of dollars to be criticized. Good, bad, indifferent. That's not your spot to be stirring the pot in that locker room, because I guarantee wherever Baker Mayfield's locker is a lonely place right now. It's a lonely place.
I think DJ also, the reason why he is going to be coming back next year is because they're making him have surgery this week. If they didn't care about him, hey, go get thrown to the wolves next week, too. So I think what they're doing basically is they're going to assess the situation after his surgery. What's his recovery looking like? How's he working? If he is healthy, we saw the numbers he was able to put up last year. Okay, now, Odell Beckham played half the year last year. Odell Beckham played half the year this year, okay, for the Browns. Baker Mayfield had phenomenal stats last year. If he has those same stats this year, just matches those stats, they win the North single-handedly, without a doubt. I mean, his output was like, 30 touchdowns last year? He has 17 this year. That's 13 touchdowns. Think about how many games they lost within one score. So I do think he will be back next year. I think the problem is the media ruined, with all the hype the media had, got everybody all excited about what they were doing. Oh my God, we got Clowney. Oh my God, we got Anthony Walker. We got Johnson. We got Hill. All these guys from the Rams. And it's like the media pumps us all up, but they all got to jive. There is one person I would get rid of for the Cleveland Browns. One person, and that's the defensive backs coach. Because those DBs do not know how to tackle. They don't know how to cover. They don't know how to cover unless they're staring at the receiver, which, come on, man. These guys are fast enough they can turn their heads. You know what I mean? There's so many plays where I watch Greedy Williams just sit there and never extend his arms. Against the Packers, I believe it was, when the Packers had the ball at like the 4-yard line, they had to go the distance, and they gave up. They ended up giving up like a 26-yard run. Greedy Williams was in the backfield ready to make a tackle, never extended his arms to make a tackle. It was pathetic. That defensive backs coach, with the talent that he should have had, he'd be gone.
It's interesting. I mean, it's all interesting. The finger gets pointed so many different ways, and if they're 2 wins more this season, they're AFC North champions, but they're not, and they are not playing in the playoffs. They won't be playing an extra season this year, and it's funny because being a Steelers fan, we're spoiled. Like, we're spoiled beyond belief, and I'll admit that 100%. But it still sucks to watch other teams play in the playoffs. It does. It's awful and it's almost worse to watch your team go play for one game in the wild card and get beat, whether it's by 1 or 100. It still stinks because you're like, because then you start thinking, we could have had that extra, couple people up in the draft and things like that. It's not fun, but I'm really interested to see how the Browns bounce back. And obviously, we didn't mean to spend 50 minutes on this. We wanted to talk about some high school sports, but we'll save it for tomorrow right here on the show. But when Scotty comes, you got to talk about the Browns because that's his life. But good news, bad news is we won't have to talk about them for much longer, them or the Steelers, because it's going to be officially postseason here starting next week. So.
Steelers are still alive.
No, don't give me that. Don't give me that.
Hey, I wish we were still mathematically alive.
Hey, if Lamar doesn't play again, and when do they need the Jaguars to be? You never know what can happen.
Congratulations, we get the Chiefs. You know what I mean? Great, super. I'm so excited to watch that game again. I didn't even watch it the first time. When I turned it on, and I was like, yeah, I'm not gonna watch this. I'm not gonna watch this. I got better things to do than watch my team get absolutely obliterated by Patrick Mahomes.
I really didn't want to watch this last Monday night game because I knew in the back of my mind, I'm like, there's no way in hell the Steelers are they're gonna lose this game, and then I'm gonna have to hear from DJ. But what did I do? I still watched it because I'm a masochist.
And I didn't say a word to you, did I? I usually text you, and I kept it to myself. I enjoyed the moment with, probably the last best moment I'm gonna have with my quarterback, and that was it. I didn't put anything on. I will say, because I know Chuck Felix is a YSN guy. I was waiting for Chuck to go online and do one of his post-game press conferences, as I always do, because they are entertaining from whatever standpoint. But there was no press conference this week. Not that he was hiding, but there was no press conference. I'm just going to leave it there because it was Browns fans think that this game is it's their Super Bowl, right? Every year, twice a year, all you want to do is beat Pittsburgh. I get it. I'm back in this situation where I'm like, ugh. It's just little brother. They just talk a lot, and then you get punched in the mouth, and all of a sudden they don't talk for a while. They every couple years they pipe up, but nothing anymore. And Scotty, we love you as a YSN guy. I just thought it was funny that there was no Browns gear today. Usually there's a Johnny Manziel, or not Johnny Manziel, Baker Mayfield. I'm feeling dangerous or something, and he comes decked in all in the red and white and blue for YSN to make sure that the words were softer and they went down a little easier today. So tip of the cap to you, buddy. Let's get to actually, Donnie, real quick, because I know you predicted this yesterday.
Yeah.
Please give me your synopsis on the Boardman victory last night over Howland.
Listen, Boardman came out. They went up 19-4 at the end of the first quarter. It was awesome to see. I knew they were going to come out and set the tone in this game. It just felt right. The entire vibe. They changed up a couple of personnel in their starting lineup, which, with 11 seniors and they play one sophomore and one junior, and they actually played a freshman last night too. And David Del Torrio played really, really well for the Spartans. But Luke Ryan was 6 for 6 from 3-point range. I mean, it was unbelievable. Trey DePietro finally got back off on a game. He had 15 points, and just the energy from the sidelines was fantastic too. I went to breakfast with some of those guys on Sunday morning, and I said, hey, one thing we talked about on Friday was the energy from you guys on the bench. There was none. And they looked at us like, what? We didn't know. We saw you. We saw what you guys were doing. You were sitting there. You have to provide that energy every single game, the entire game, or else your teammates notice that and they play flat. So it was a kudos to Pat Birch. Did a great job with his game plan, what he wanted to do. Masucci's a heck of a player for Howland. Yep. And he still scored 19 over, maybe had 20 points at the end of the game, but for the most part held everybody else in check. And I mean, you let one guy go off, you handle everybody else, and it was great. for them to get back in the win column because they are one of the top teams in this area. They just lost their way a little bit, and they finally figured out how to close a fourth quarter. In 8 games prior, they have had the worst fourth quarters I've seen out of any team, and now they finally figured that out. They maintained the lead and they didn't look back. And I'm telling you right now, Fitch Boardman is going to be a game. Fitch, there's 3 teams that lost in the top 10 of the power rankings last night. Okay, Howland, Mooney took it to Cheney. Now listen,
I was just going to tell you about
there has to be somebody out for Cheney. Okay, the COVID, this, that, the other. There's no way.
They haven't played a game before Christmas, though.
Yeah, but there's no way Five Slam Jamma is only scoring 38 points, buddy. And then Fitch did a great job. They knocked Canfield out by 1 point last night. So this game Friday, nobody's going to take this game lightly for either team. Number one, I mean, Fitch is going to sit there and be like, well, I don't care if Boardman's 4-5. They're better than 4-5. And Boardman's saying the same thing about Fitch. So Fitch is 3-6 now. Nobody's going to take anything for granted on Friday. So, and I'm looking forward to that call.
I'm looking forward to that. I'm looking forward to Ty Bartell. I'm not looking forward to him leaving and going on vacation, but I am looking forward to being able to fill in for him next Friday. I'm excited, man. Being able to go back to the Falcons Nest, and do a game there and catch up with my buddy Mark Roth, who strong supporter always of YSN. I'm so excited for that. I got to make sure that I drink a Red Bull or something before the game to catch up with all the energy that Ty brings to the table. But excited for that. Let's get to games tonight on the network. There you see it. Alliance at Salem all have that game tip-off set for 7 o'clock. Boardman at Canfield, that game at 7 o'clock. Marlington at West Branch, we'll have that as well. All these games 7 o'clock, so it's easy for you to remember. Ursuline and Mooney, the Holy War, happening on YSN tonight, and Buckeye Local at Edison as well. Check your local listings, but just go to ysnlive.com/live and you'll have direct links right to those games. Let's get to, you know what time it is. I almost forgot what time it is. It's this time. A quick edition of the Joe Dickey Electric What's Your Spark, presented by our friends over at Joe Dickey Electric. Visit them on the web at dickeyelectric.com. They have powered proudly this valley for the last 60 years strong. Scotty, you're leading us off today, brother. What do you have?
I guess I got to go with what we talked about for, an entire hour. My negative spark is myself and just, buying into my team, thinking they were going to do something extraordinary this year. And it just didn't happen. I know, DJ, you said if they didn't think Baker was the guy, they would have got rid of him already. But I can bounce back to that and say that, maybe they would have signed him before this year to a longer extension if they thought he was the guy. So I really don't know what they're going to do going forward. They're kind of in, again, it's kind of QB purgatory. They have, again, a talented roster on paper, much more talented than years past, but just another disappointing season. Just irrelevant again, no playoffs. No 2 years in a row playoffs, back to the mediocre Browns. So hopefully Andrew Berry and Kevin Stefanski get on the same page and get it fixed. But DJ, you won the bet, my friend.
$100, baby.
Yeah.
Cash or card, I'll take it. All right, Donnie Ricks.
My positive spark is going to be a little bit of a twist here. This is essentially the back half of the senior season for a lot of these basketball programs in the area, and I just want to give a major shout out to the girls programs, those senior girls that I have had the pleasure of coaching against or coaching for the past geez, 11, 12 years since they were third and fourth graders. You know, that's Alyssa Pompilia at Howland, Connie Kugris, Abby Farber, Morgan Kluchar at Poland, Lexi Giles at South Range, um, Abby Perry, Jenna McClish, Krista Barley at Salem, and Alyssa Dill will get to watch tonight. You know that Summer Samarone. We have such amazing talent. Emma Mills for Boardman. I'm sorry, I coached her. But we have such amazing talent in the senior class around this area. These girls have played so hard. It's been a pleasure to watch them grow up and really lead their teams. So hats off to them the rest of the way. Kylie Wilson at Jackson Milton. I mean, there's more names I forget than I know. And the fact that this is their senior run, you know, and this is the last part of their senior run for their season. So, you know, nothing but the best to them. I hope they excel and move on and do much better things.
Awesome. I love those ones. A guy that knows everybody. It's got to be hard to remember all those players and people that mean so much to you.
Believe me, I'm forgetting a lot more than I'm saying. Trust me. But honestly, it's just been a pleasure playing against them. Like it's crazy because like Mackenzie's a sophomore and she got to play against them as a second grader when they were in fourth grade tournaments. You know what I mean? Like she's looked up to them her entire career in basketball. And these are outstanding young ladies and they deserve all the praise, all the credit, and hopefully they deserve a bunch of Big Dogs awards.
Let's get it.
Hats off to Jenna McClish, by the way.
Yeah. Jenna, one of my favorite people in the world, the big dog of the valley. Also, Jake Gerdick,
yes.
Another proud supporter of YSN, and obviously people supporting them as well. Mine is interesting. It's a negative spark. My first of the year, so I wanted to keep things positive the first week, but I couldn't because last night I got the baby. She's sleeping. She just got her feeding at 1 a.m. and then I see on Facebook that a brand new, not even open yet business is getting trashed because they tried to reach out and say something nice, come in, enjoy what we have to do. We're giving reduced pricing on what, and somebody just absolutely stepped in and that's not what you said. What you're trying to do is X, Y, Z. Stop it. Come on. In a world where everything's getting canceled and closed, people and business owners are trying to do anything they can to help market their business, and especially being a new business owner from a standpoint, leave them alone. They have not even opened up yet, and you're going to sit there and trash them, belittle them. Come on, people. Come on. Like, business owners are doing the best they can at this point, whether it's a restaurant, whether it's a basketball game at this point. Staffing is short everywhere you go. You know, COVID is taking over again. People are getting sick. People are getting ill. And it's tough to get people to go do things right now. How about instead of trashing somebody before you even step foot in their place, you give them a shot. You go and you say, hey, I'm going to spend $40, $50, $100 if you have it to try you out. And then if you got something to say or you have tips or tricks or want to leave a review, then you can. But you cannot leave a review without trying the drink, or you cannot leave a review without trying that particular venue. Stop being a bunch of Karens and Kens out there. Like, relax. Enjoy it. There's people with ideas, and they need your support. And we're living proof of it. And I'm just tired of people trashing everybody's stuff all the time without even knowing anything about it. So that
they don't want to run into Donnie Knuckles, let me tell you, because that place that you're talking about is going to take off and redefine this area.
Yeah, I'm with you, man. It's going to be a special place, and I put my 2 cents in. I didn't know how to address that in that situation. I didn't know if it was kind of tongue-in-cheek or not. It wasn't. I don't think so. So I just did what I could. So not to say that I'm some kind of social media hero, but when I see people busting on, especially because they haven't opened yet, leave them alone, man.
You're my hero, Deej.
You're my hero. Scotty's both of our heroes. So.
Scotty, we love you.
That's going to do it for the show today. Scotty, thanks for joining us. We'll see you next Wednesday. Donnie, as always, appreciate you being part of the show. And we will see you guys tomorrow. It's 3 o'clock right here on your sports network. Let's do the flag.